In 2011, Beyoncé stood on the VMA stage, gently unbuttoned her sequined jacket, rubbed her stomach, and smiled. The crowd erupted. The world celebrated. It was official, Beyoncé was pregnant with her first child. But in a matter of days, the celebration turned into confusion, and confusion into controversy. A single moment during an interview sparked one of the most persistent conspiracy theories in pop culture history. The theory that Beyoncé never carried her first child, Blue Ivy, and that she faked the pregnancy entirely. It started with what fans now refer to as the bump fold. During an Australian interview, Beyoncé sat down in a flowing red dress. As she did, the fabric, or perhaps something underneath, appeared to collapse. The internet watched in slow motion. Theories were born instantly. People claimed the baby bump deflated, folded unnaturally, or bent in a way no real stomach should. The clip spread like wildfire. It was replayed, dissected, zoomed in, analyzed. It wasn't long before hashtags like #FakeBump and #BeyoncéGate started trending. Why would Beyoncé, one of the most celebrated and scrutinized women in the world, fake a pregnancy? That question became the foundation of endless speculation. Some fans believed she was using a surrogate and wore a prosthetic bump to maintain her public image. Others claimed it was a cover-up to control media access and protect her privacy. Some simply thought it was a wardrobe malfunction. But the internet rarely lets go of a juicy theory, especially when silence fuels the mystery. Adding to the curiosity was Beyoncé's decision to release a heavily stylized photoshoot later in her pregnancy. The ethereal images showed her surrounded by flowers, veiled, kneeling in water. The shoot was beautiful, but also controlled, artistic, even surreal. To skeptics, it was further evidence that the bump was more of a costume than a confirmation. Then came the speculations about timing. Some observers pointed out inconsistencies in the timeline of her bump's growth. In one photo she looked smaller, then larger the next week, then smaller again. Of course, pregnancy looks different for every woman, but for those looking for proof of deception, this was all they needed to keep the theory alive. And then there was her father. Matthew Knowles, once Beyoncé's manager, gave an interview saying he didn't know about the pregnancy until it was announced publicly. Fans took this as odd. Why wouldn't the grandfather to be told in advance? Had something been kept from even close family? Solange, Beyoncé's sister, also avoided discussing the pregnancy publicly, which only deepened the sense of mystery. As the rumor mill churned, so did the explanations. The most popular theory was that Beyoncé had used a surrogate. According to this version of events, she wanted a child but chose to keep the surrogacy a secret to maintain privacy or avoid public criticism. The prosthetic bump was simply a tool to protect the image of a natural pregnancy. Others speculated it had less to do with deception and more to do with fear. Fear of invasive paparazzi. Fear of losing control over her narrative. Fear of how the world would treat her unborn child. But Beyoncé did eventually address the rumors herself. In her 2013 HBO documentary, Life is But a Dream, she spoke directly to the camera and said, "A lot of people don't believe I was pregnant." She looked pained. She looked frustrated. She said it was hurtful, and that the rumors were cruel. She even showed footage of ultrasound images and behind-the-scenes moments of her pregnancy journey. For some, this was all the proof they needed. But for others, it was too little, too late. The conspiracy didn't die, it just evolved. Years later, Beyoncé announced her second pregnancy, this time with twins. The public reaction was very different. There were no debates, no questions, no bump collapses. Just awe. The visuals were striking again, another legendary photoshoot, this time with her belly prominently displayed. The bump grew in real time, across real public appearances. There was no mystery. Only celebration. So the question remains, what was so different the first time? One theory suggests that during her first pregnancy, Beyoncé and Jay-Z were still extremely private as a couple. They had learned from past media scrutiny. Their careers were red hot. They were protecting not only their baby, but their empire. Back then, Beyoncé rarely gave interviews. Her team tightly controlled her image. It's possible that every move was strategic, from the clothing choices to the release of maternity photos. Another theory is rooted in simple sexism and the scrutiny women, especially famous women, endure during pregnancy. Every pound gained, every bump angle, every outfit becomes headline-worthy. Could it be that this conspiracy is less about Beyoncé and more about the culture of surveillance and suspicion we place on women's bodies? And yet, the footage remains. The fold. The rumors. The silence. The explanations. It is also important to consider how conspiracy theories work. They often begin with one moment, a glitch, a clip, a detail out of place, and spiral. They feed off ambiguity. They grow in silence. When people don't trust the official story, they fill in the blanks. And when the subject is someone as powerful, as mysterious, and as curated as Beyoncé, the theory doesn't need facts to survive. It just needs oxygen. And the internet provides plenty. To this day, the theory resurfaces every time Beyoncé trends. Every time she posts a cryptic caption. Every time Blue Ivy appears in public. The theory is never confirmed. Never completely disproved. It just lingers in YouTube comment sections, Reddit threads, and fan discussions. So, did Beyoncé fake her pregnancy? Was it a prosthetic bump? A surrogate? A misunderstanding? Or was it simply a woman protecting her peace in a world that doesn't believe in boundaries? The truth may be simple. But the conspiracy refuses to be. Because sometimes, the myth is more entertaining than the reality. And in the case of Beyoncé's pregnancy, it's a mystery that just won't die.